Hey, welcome back. Another weekend, another update. So, as you can still see, we don't have a finished product, but I feel like I have made a lot more headway this weekend getting the Storm Eagle into a better place. So, just to show you what's been going on. The interior parts, as you can see, I've been starting to do some painting and assembling, and I'll just go through some of the general ideas. So this is the interior of the assault hatch. This is obviously the starboard side. I've got the bulkhead door set up. What I did was pretty much what you see is I glued the floor plating and the wall section together, making sure that they were as close to 90 degrees as the model would allow with the flex. And then I inserted the bulkhead, which had been pinned along the side. Now they had been pre-painted, so you can see that the back sections here, they've been painted with some Adeptus Battle Grey and some Codex Grey and silver highlights. Still a couple little bits of detail and highlighting that I want to do, even though it's probably not going to be seen before everything gets finished up. The edging along the floor here, I just want to tidy up with grey now that everything's together and I know where all the seams are. So that went together as the basis fairly solidly. I glued that together, left that overnight. And today's project has just been touching up a few bits and pieces. I put in some putty, let me just use this as a pointer, along the seam here because there was big gaps, and along the bottom part, along here there were big gaps under the door. That's all been filled up with putty and painted back in the grey. So that is how that part's going together there. Let's get this piece ready. Also, I have been just getting this section ready. This is the other side, the port side, and you can see where I have used some of the putty on the green stuff there, which is going to be filling out the other side. So when these go together, it should all sit flush with no gaps floating around there. So that's still obviously green. Sorry, you can't really see that too well. It's obviously still green. That's going to be painted over in the grey, and that'll all be fine. I've still got to pick out the computer details and things like that, but they will all be the same. And once that part is together, I'm hoping that that's going to be the worst of the assembly issues in terms of getting everything square and flat. I have the canopy area here, and that's been very tight on test fitting. It's going to require a bit of finagling to get that all lined up properly in there. I'm just going to have to be very careful once it's all going in. But, sorry. As you can see, I've started doing the painting of the cockpit, just very basic colours there, which will be layered, and then add some highlights. But I have gotten the pilot painted up and ready to go. So here's my ultramarine pilot, obviously, with the Adeptus Mechanicus symbol, and I've painted up the seating section here, and this is going to slot into the cockpit like so, and then he is going to slot into the cockpit, and then he has this little dashboard for his gears and levers to plug into. and then the canopy, copper canopy, will sit over that. And there's also it's supposed to be clear, but it's actually fairly frosty, the canopy, so I'm yet to decide whether to use that or replace it with something else. But here's where the canopy is going to, it'll go over there as soon as I take the blue tack off. That's going to slide over like that, and as it stands right now, you can actually see them pretty good in there. But this is the canopy piece, and it's, as you can see, it's kind of frosted. It's not completely clear, so when that slots in like that, it'll be glued in there, obviously, and it just becomes a lot harder to see. And you know, that's okay. I don't mind that too much. It's just one of those things where I like to paint the detail regardless of whether you can see it or not. So he's in there as the pilot. I may change the trim on the shoulder guards because my Ultramarine Army is second company. I'm going to have the gold trim, like he's been seconded to the second company, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't quite fit with the red and the blue, having the gold in there. Might change that to white or something else. I'll have to do a bit of research and find out what the actual heraldry is there. But he's all painted up, he's ready to go. And the other part I forgot to show off there was the internal thruster, which on the outside you can see you've got the VTOL jets. They've been painted up real easy. I showed on the other video. And then we're going to have the covers that go over there, sort of these internal covers, and they will be painted up with grey and metallic probably, and they just slot in there and they cover that detail, and they just act as like storage areas for the troops that are in there. The other thing which I haven't showed off yet, which I'll just quickly slap this together, is the ramp. Now I have, you can't see because I've base coated it unfortunately now, I have gone in and I have cut off the pegs and put in magnets on here. I've also put in magnets on either of these sides, so I can just slot that in there, and that there's enough friction with the magnet that it'll just swing freely. But if I need to get in there to do something or to unhook it, unhinge it, it's magnetized. It can just go out. And that's going to save me a lot of hassle, I think, when it comes to putting the canopy on, getting everything together, because the last thing you want to do is have, you know, your ramp fall in the back, not being able to get it out, overstretch, overbend. So in this case, I've got it magnetized. I can just pull it off. Sorry, the black on black makes it a little hard to see, but anyway, that's where we're going with that, and I'm feeling a lot better now that things are starting to come together a bit more. Still been a bit of work trying to get the sections glued together, the floor and the starboard side. Required a bit of holding and pressing and praying and all that sort of thing, but we got there. The machine gods answered. So here's how it's going to look with the back section on there. That all feels like it's going to hold in steady and sit where it's supposed to, so I think the extra pinning and everything that I did at the start has really helped out a lot. And then of course this section will slot back in there. I've got pins there for it, and with a bit of finagling that'll have to sit down there. This might be the most difficult part because it's got to really flex to get in there, so I'm going to have to think carefully about the best method of doing that. But so far so good. Still been a slower build than I was kind of hoping, but it's given me a lot to think about, and how goes together. Tested my skill and patience a wee bit, but yeah, no, it's good. It's coming out alright. I just want to touch up the little interior bits a little bit more, even though you're not really going to see them, because I know they're in there. I'm going to want to get in there and fix all of that up before it all gets closed off, because once it's closed off it's going to be impossible to get in there and to fix. So that's where I'm at right now, doing all the interior detailing, sprucing it up, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's all going. So there we go. That's my update for this weekend pretty much. I'll just be continuing to do this over the course of the next few days, and then once the assembly is done there, we're going to move on to the next part, probably the engines and wings. I honestly haven't mapped out too far ahead what I'm planning with this, because this section has taken up so much time in terms of trying to get it right and not wanting to mess up. So just about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel where I can plan ahead and see what the rest of the build is going to be like. So there we go. I'm glad to report some successes there, and be a little bit more upbeat this time, because it was a real hassle trying to get all this started. So there we go, guys. I will carry on with this and give you an update next time. Take it easy.